just a really good conversation, and it just made me think a little bit of where my current stance is with GLP-1s, because I spoke to somebody yesterday and they were just like, oh, I saw that social media post you put out there about kind of GLP-1s. What's your stance on it? And I thought it was a very interesting question on its own, because I feel that at the moment the world of GLP-1s and the landscape around it is very, very fast moving. And for me, I don't think we should be for or against GLP-1s. I think there's a middle ground there. Like anything in just kind of fat loss, nutrition, I just don't think there's black and white answers to this. There's always grey areas. And for me, like, this is not about with GLP-1s. This is not about being for or against a GLP-1. I am for helping people. That's where I'm at with this. I think this is really important to get this across. I think sometimes as a nutritionist, people think, oh, he's either really for it or he's really against it. Most people think I'm against it. So where I'm currently at with GLP-1s is, I think there's three areas we've got to be very, very careful with. We've got people, obviously in the UK I'm talking about here, so people within the NHS who have been prescribed these medications, GLP-1 medications for weight loss and long-term health conditions that they've got, and they're being medicated with GLP-1s. Now, no issue with that. For me, I think they're such a powerful medication. They are changing lives, and I think they are a game changer for people in this area and demographic. There is no doubt about that. The science supports that. So for me, absolutely supportive of that. Then I think we've got the next area here where people are getting these medications through legitimate pathways. So they're being prescribed this medication legitimately. Now, I feel a lot of people in this area, outside of this being used with the NHS, I feel that people who are getting this on private prescription, who are getting it legitimately, by the way, I feel these are the people, these are certainly the people that I'm currently working with. I'm working with 3 ladies now who are using GLP-1s, who are getting them privately, legitimately, but they're in a position now where they feel that, or when they came to me, we had the conversation, because when we had the conversations, they weren't even going to come and work with me because they thought I was against GLP-1s. Now, I will just say on that point, in this area, if somebody comes to me looking for fat loss, I'm a fat loss nutritionist, I would not suddenly or straight away go, I think GLP-1's the pathway for you. I think this is what we should do. I'm not saying I'll do that. That wouldn't be the first port of call. But what I am not saying is I won't support people in this area. Now, I'm working with ladies here. When they first come to me, they didn't even tell anybody they were doing a GLP-1. They went to ground with it because they're a fear of judgment, a little bit of shame that they've been made to feel by people that are, from what's out there with people's opinion. Everyone's opinionated about this at the moment, coaches more so than anybody, which blows my mind. They felt a little bit like they've got to go to ground and do this on their own. And for me, I think that's where the danger is, or one of the dangers. I'll speak about the next one in a second, but I think this is where one of the dangers is in the industry, that people go and do this, get the medication legitimately through private practices, and then go to ground and try and do it on their own. And they've got no idea about nutrition, and all they're looking for is weight loss. They're not clued up about how to retain muscle. They're not clued up about how to keep the protein high, their fiber high, keep hydration good, and keep the general nutrient density good in their diet. And that's what they need to be doing. And what I won't do as a nutritionist is say to somebody, oh, you're on a GLP-1, I'm not going to help you. Like, I'm just not doing it. Go and do it on your own, because I don't think that's good care. I don't think it's good practice from me as a nutritionist. Like I say, I'm not for or against GLP-1s at all. I'm not like standing with my flag going, everyone on a GLP-1, but I'm not going, oh, they're the worst thing in the world. I am pro helping people, and I will absolutely do that within my scope of practice and do it to the best of my ability. And that's where I'm working with people at the moment in that area. And we're getting great results with one of the ladies at the moment who I've been working the longest with on a GLP-1. She's a stone down, her clothes are fitting better, but she's holding on to muscle. She's retaining that. She's looking really well on it. And again, it's because we're getting it right. She's probably averaging around 900 to 1,000 calories a day, which again is an aggressive number, but ultimately she's still able to get food in there. So the food she's getting, we're making sure it's quality, because what the thing with GLP-1s or not, what this isn't is, I'm on a GLP-1, the goal is now to eat nothing or eat as little as possible. That's not the key. the goal is still to give yourself nutrients. The goal is still to keep yourself healthy and not just crash off the side, eat a biscuit a day, and then just lose the weight. Oh my God, now, yeah, I'm losing weight now. But everything else is stacked up in a bad position where you're not getting nutrient density, you're not holding muscle, and you're not healthy ultimately. So this is the area I'm working with people. And I think this is the area where there's a lot of stigma around GLP-1s, where people are using them for weight loss. But for me, we've got to be supportive as nutritionists in this industry, and we've got to help people in this area. And I'm not willing for somebody to come to me and say, I want a GLP-1, you're not willing to work with me. I'm not willing to go, oh yeah, go and do that on your own. I will always help people in this area. But this leads us on to the third area that I'm seeing at the moment in the industry as well with GLP-1 usage. There is, and again, I think this blurs into what people feel about just general usage of GLP-1s. I am seeing people abuse these as well. And I've heard stories, like really tough stories of people abusing these medications. Now, you get that on the lighter end of people just going, oh, I'm going to Ibiza. I always say Ibiza could be anywhere, right? I'm going on holiday, I want to lose a couple of pounds, going to get a GLP-1. I don't agree with that. That's not what I would not be happy. I would not work with anybody in that area. That's not what they are for. It's not what GLP-1's made for. For me, that's not great. And they're being abused in that area, I feel. I don't think that's right. Now, one of the really serious areas we've got here that I've heard a bit of a story of, and again, I've stayed in my scope of practice. I'm not medically trained in a GLP-1. I'm not a doctor. But what I am is qualified in an area to flag things and give the right advice. My advice was this person: get your friend to go to a GP. This is a really serious situation. But I'm seeing people. I've heard a story of somebody, and this is my worry now with GLP-1s, that they may fall into the wrong hands of people, or people who are potentially got some eating disorders, people who have got no weight to lose, and they're just like, oh no, I want to stay thin. I'm gonna always use these medications. And yeah, just kind of abuse them. They don't know they're abusing, but it's just like it's an abusive way they're using them. And the biggest thing for me now, and again, this was kind of crossed over into a bit of a story I spoke to this lady about, where I was advising get her to the GP. My fear is these might fall into the hands of people with eating disorders who, where they're in a position, I mean, they're horrific eating disorders where people, they don't like the body composition, they don't like the shape they're in, they think they're fat, and it's like, oh my God, these magical fat loss drugs now, these are going to help me. And being in a position where they may have an eating disorder, going to ground, getting these off the black market, which is just horrific anyway, you don't know what you're getting with that. And they start abusing GLP-1s in that way. And again, it's just a complete recipe for disaster in horrific ways. That's an area I feel that we've got to be a bit careful of and watch. And of course, an area I do not support. Like, I would never have anybody, when I say, and again, this is kind of my stance here. So in the NHS, people using them, no issues. People getting them legitimately prescribed privately, no problem. I will work with people in that area. But what I won't do is, just because it's like, okay, yeah, I can work with somebody here, I can get some money out of this. It's so unethical when people do that. I hate it. What I won't do is somebody come to me and go, oh yeah, I want to lose a bit of weight. I've not got a lot to lose really, but I just want to jump on a GLP-1 and just lose a couple of pounds. That would absolutely be a stone cold no from me, and I would be advising in the area of why that would not be the best practice and the best way to go about this, and what we should be doing. I would never work with anybody in that area, and I would always stay in my scope of practice. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the GLP-1s. I just thought it would be a good video to get out there after this conversation I had with somebody yesterday. It was a bit like, I saw you put something out about GLP-1s. What's your kind of stance on it? So that's kind of my stance. In summary, yeah, if they're used in a legitimate way, they're being prescribed legitimately, I will absolutely support people with that. I'm working with 3 people in this area to make sure we are getting everything right from a nutritional angle. We are holding muscle retention, we are getting good fibre in, we are making sure we're getting nutrient density in there so the body's nourished, and we're looking after ourselves, we're remaining healthy, and working people in that area. But when it comes to the other side of it, where I'm seeing potentially abusive sides of GLP-1, we've got to be super careful of that. And I certainly think in the industry as nutritionists, we've got to be careful to flag that when people come into us and they want our help potentially, they may be using a GLP-1 where they don't need to use that. So yeah, in summary for me, using that, getting GLP-1s legitimately prescribed, using them, absolutely I'm happy to work with people in that area and help them be as healthy as they possibly can be. And then the big thing here, sustain their result when they come off the GLP-1s. We're in a big area here where we are getting the studies now where it's showing that the rebound rates when people stop these medications are quite high. So I feel like there's still more twists and turns to come with the GLP-1 landscape. It's ever changing and fast moving, but for me, I feel that there's going to be more twists and turns when people start to end these medications, and they are then getting rebound weights, and then it's going to be like, oh my god, what do I do now? So what we're doing with our GLP-1 pathway is helping ladies go, right, this is where you're currently at, this is what we're doing, this is the body composition we're now at, this is what the body requires, this is where we're at with your current calorie needs and your nutritional needs. This is what potentially might happen when you end this, when you end your medication, but this is how we're going to keep this body composition, this is how we're going to rework everything from a nutritional angle and keep this result for you. And that's my job as a nutritionist that I'm really passionate about doing, that people who don't go back to where they were and they just end up on that diet cycle, whether that's through dieting, through just standard diets, or whether that is using GLP-1s. So yeah, ever-changing landscape, but that's currently where I'm at with this at the moment. Any comments on this? I'll be really interested to know your own thoughts, personal experiences around the usage of GLP-1. So yeah, drop in the comments below.